If you want to start a clothing dropshipping business, but you're overwhelmed by sizing, suppliers, returns, and all of that stuff that can actually go wrong, this video is for you. I'm going to show you exactly how to get started the right way, how to pick clothing products that actually make sense to sell, where to source them, and how to automate the entire backend so that way you're not manually managing orders all day, every day. So with that, let's just go ahead and get straight into it with step 1, picking the right clothing niche. The very first decision that you need to make is not what platform to use. It's not what supplier to pick and not even what product to sell. It's who you're selling to and what type of clothing you're going to be focusing on. If you try to sell just clothing in general, your store is going to fail. And honestly, there's no way around it. Instead, you want to narrow it down to a specific category or audience. For example, men's casual wear, or women's lounge and everyday wear, or kids and toddlers apparel. Now, the reason that this matters is because clothing buyers don't shop randomly. They shop with intent. They already know sometimes what they want to buy. They're looking for something that's specific, and your store needs to feel like it was built for them. But there's a difference here. People that go out shopping are going out to more generic stores sometimes, and they're just looking around. They're window shopping. While that can be done online, you need to have somewhat of a different strategy when you're selling online, which is why niching down makes sense. Now, this is also what makes your ads cheaper. It makes your messaging a lot more clear, and it makes your store later on a lot easier to scale. Now, don't think of it as if you're limiting yourself. Instead, you're focusing. All right, step 2, choosing clothing products that actually make sense. So once you know your niche, the next step is choosing products that actually work for dropshipping and for your niche. You want to avoid anything that's just overly complicated, products that have confusing sizing maybe, extremely thin margins, or quality that's really impossible to control, which later on is going to cause problems for you. Now, what tends to work best is going to be practical and everyday clothing items. For guys, that usually means hoodies, sweatshirts, jackets, and casual pants. These items are pretty easy to understand, and they're easy to market, and they're easy to fulfill. And then for women, casual dresses, sweaters, tops, and lounge shirts, they perform very well, especially when they feel seasonal or boutique rather than mass-produced. And that's also where branding comes in. It's pretty good to start branding down when you have a clothing brand. Now for kids, comfortable basics like hoodies, joggers, and matching sets make the most sense because parents buy them repeatedly and often in bundles. Now the goal here is not to be trendy, it's to be reliable. But really quick, if you want more videos that show you exactly how to build and automate your dropshipping stores without wasting time on all of that fluff and all of that extra stuff that you don't need, make sure that you're subscribed. I always post step-by-step strategies like this every single week. All right, moving on. Step 3, source products the smart way. So let's talk about sourcing because this is where most clothing stores kind of start to fall apart or break before they even actually start. Manually sourcing clothing is a nightmare. Suppliers change prices, products go out of stock, and listings disappear without a warning. And this is why you want to source through tools that are built for automation. So with AutoDS, you can connect multiple suppliers and import clothing products directly into your store. Your inventory is going to be monitored automatically, and price changes are also tracked. So that way you're not selling items at a loss or items that you don't have. Now, this alone eliminates most of the issues that people associate with clothing dropshipping or just simply selling clothing online. And this is also why clothing still works in 2026. Not because the niche changed, but because the tools did. Now, if you do want to see this in action, AutoDS offers a $1 trial that you can actually use to import your products, set up your automation, and test the system before fully committing. And for that, I'll leave the trial link right below this video so that way you can try it out for yourself. All right, moving on to step 4. Automate before you drive your traffic. This step is kind of done backwards sometimes because a lot of people will go ahead and build a store, they're gonna run ads, and then they're gonna try to fix the automation issues once the orders start coming in. And that's a mistake. Before you ever send any traffic to your store, you want to already set your rules for pricing, for your stock monitoring, and for your order fulfillment to be fully automated. Now, AutoDS lets you set this up once, so that way when orders come in, they're handled consistently without you ever touching every single one or a single order. Now, this also protects your margins. It protects your customer's experience and ultimately your sanity. And once this is in place, scaling just becomes a lot easier. Which leads us to step 5, starting small and scaling what works. Look, you don't need a massive store to start. In fact, the best performing clothing stores usually launch with a small, focused catalog, maybe 10 to 20 products that all fit the same style and the same audience. This makes your store feel intentional and your branding a lot more clear, and it lets you test a lot faster. So once you see what's selling, you double down on those products instead of constantly chasing new ones. This is where clothing becomes profitable long term. Which leads us to the next section, which is mistakes to avoid in your clothing dropshipping business. So the biggest mistakes that I see are trying literally just to sell anything and everything and relying on manual processes and really overcomplicating your store way too early. Clothing dropshipping works best when it's simple, when it's focused, and when it's automated. The more moving parts that you introduce, the more likely that something breaks. So keep it clean, keep it intentional, and let the system do the work. Now, if you follow these steps in order, clothing dropshipping becomes a lot simpler than people make it out to be. Start focused, automate early, and scale what starts to prove itself. And also check out the AutoDS trial link below if you want to build your store the right way. Subscribe for more step-by-step e-commerce strategies. And with that, my name is Mario with AutoDS, and I'll catch you all next time.